Good morning. My name is George Valdez. I'm the captain of the Sheriff's Information Bureau. Today we'll be discussing a public safety announcement regarding the safety precautions regarding the COVID-19 virus. At this time, I'd like to call the Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Alex Villanueva.
Morning, everyone. As I stated last week at the Board of Supervisors press conference, my top priority as the Sheriff of Los Angeles County is the safety of all of our residents. Today, I want to reassure you that our agency is working hard to ensure law enforcement services in the areas we serve remain uninterrupted by the coronavirus. And what we have done to date. The County Emergency Operations Center, the CEOC, remains at level 1 status. It is fully staffed with experts from all of the LA County departments, and also we have representatives from the LAPD, and also we are now in contact and coordinating with all of the law enforcement agencies throughout Los Angeles County. When we continue to collaborate with local agencies, we monitor world events and provide the public with the most up-to-date information that we have. For the department itself, in order to increase availability of our personnel, we cancel vacations of all personnel from now all the way through the end of April. And we also provided personal protective equipment was issued to all of our field personnel. And we have sufficient inventory, and we'll be asking the Board of Supervisors to release the remaining frozen funds from our Sheriff's Department's account so we can continue purchasing and restocking the supplies of these things like masks, gloves, goggles, sanitizers, all the things we're using to sanitize our patrol stations, our custody facilities, our radio cars, all the things that are going to be used throughout this time period in question. And these are all preventative measures. And of course, we're reminding all our personnel to practice good personal hygiene, social distancing, sanitizing, washing hands, and those things. Okay. Now, over the weekend, we've had several of our personnel come into contact, and they have been self-isolated. However, fortunately, no one has actually tested positive for the virus. Now we have executed a second phase of our department-wide operations plans, where our non-essential patrol personnel and non-essential personnel throughout the department are now being redeployed to our custody and our patrol operations. We're going to increase our presence in the field, and right now, this is a precautionary measure only because of the increased presence of people, in particular in shopping centers, supermarkets, Costco's, wholesale distribution points. Those we want to increase our presence, just in case there's any sort of conflict. And so right now we have only a very small number that are on self-quarantine, and we have not seen a large spike in sick call, and so this is very fortunate. Now, on the custody side, we've been doing quite a bit to minimize the impact to our custody population. I know this has been a concern of quite a few people. But of February 28th, when we first started taking actions on this issue, we had 17,076 people in our custody. As of today, we've reduced that to 16,459, about 617 people less. And we've done that in a variety of ways. We've implemented some of my authority under the penal code to reduce the population of our jails through early release. For those that have less than 30 days left on their sentence, we can release them. There's a provision of the penal code that allows for that. At the entry level also now, we're directing all our local agencies to cite and release everybody they can. And if there's someone who shows any symptom that needs to be arrested, for example, a felony suspect of a violent crime, they're being directed to seek medical clearance first before they attempt to do a booking. And our local agencies are independent contract cities. We're asking them to have a contingency plan to hold on to their prisoner for the first 24 or 48 hours up to the arraignment point. And then we'll take over from there. And if the situation is a medical necessity that is beyond their capacity to care for, well, then our correctional treatment center will make arrangements with them to find a suitable placement for them. And if they're exhibiting symptoms of fever, they will in isolation or they'll be quarantined depending on what the opinion of the medical experts are. And so as of this morning, we have the 16,459 inmates in our custody. We have 0 confirmed cases of the virus. We have 9 inmates are in isolation housing at the Correctional Treatment Center. And we have a total of 21 inmates in quarantine at Men's Central Jail and 5 at Twin Towers Correctional Facility. And all of them are receiving the necessary level of care. Okay, we've also reduced the number of arrests now. We average about 300 a day throughout LA County. That's shrunk over the week into about 60 a day. So that is quite a significant, that kind of gives you an idea of what each individual agency is doing, and they're doing their best. So a shout out and a thank you to LAPD, the LASD units, and all of the independent cities that have their police departments. They're doing a good job of triaging what is necessary to be arrested or not, because our population within their jail is a vulnerable population just by virtue of who they are and where they're located. So we're protecting that population from potential exposure. Within the confines of the jail, the Correctional Treatment Center, and also at the MOSH, which is the Medical Observation Safety Housing, we're doing temperature scanning of everyone who enters those locations to ensure that no one who could potentially be infected is going to expose the inmate population unnecessarily. Okay, the aggregate bail amount for booking, we've raised it from $25,000 to $50,000. So anything under that amount we can cite and release, even warrants. That's also another way we're reducing the population. Now, despite all county buildings have been ordered to be closed, we've directed all patrol stations to keep their lobbies open. We want them to remain open for a variety of reasons. And we're encouraging everyone, if you have to call ahead. If it's a report that can be taken over the phone, we will take it over the phone. We also have an online reporting system. We encourage people to use that. But for those that use the station lobby for purposes like visitation, transfer of custody, those typically happen in patrol station lobbies. That they'll continue to do that. It'll be available for them. Those are mandatory that they have to check in because they're a registrant of some kind. Those are also, they need to continue complying with their mandatory registration. Okay. However, if you must visit a patrol station for non-emergency assistance in services, just notify us ahead of time. If you have any issue with you're exhibiting a symptom of flu or fever or so forth, we want you to take precautions and avoid going to our station lobbies for that purpose. Okay, now deputies are going to screen calls as they're getting them in from the field, the 911. They're going to make sure that if they're going to a location where there's a possible exposure, they're going to take all the necessary remedies in terms of donning protective equipment. They will do so based on the information they get from the caller. And otherwise, they're going to assume that all is clear and they will enter anyway. Now, as events occur, information regarding public safety and other services provided by our agency will be updated on these platforms. And we encourage everyone to please follow the protective measures prescribed by the Center for Disease Control. That includes limiting gatherings to 50 or less and prevention. And as I said in the past, this is about being prepared, not scared. So we're going to keep practicing these. And this probably be the last press conference we'll do of this nature. The next one will be with a pool camera, and we'll limit the number of people in these gatherings. But if we have any questions, more than happy to take them.
Why are you having this one in person? This one is kind of tight to social distance.
Well, we're at a starting point for here, but this one we wanted to kick this off in the right way. All right, so we'll be adapting as the circumstances change.
I have a question about the screening of calls. The social services department last week said that each station was generating their own questions in terms of 911 dispatcher, like to screen folks for the virus. Is that still the case? Is each station generating their own questions? And also, I know that the Santa Clarita station, they closed their lobby last week. Is that now reopened?
It's been reopened.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a local decision that wasn't coordinated properly, but that has been addressed. They're back open again. And we're going to make sure that all 23 stations have a standard set of questions, because I don't want it different from stations.
What's the highest risk area if we're talking
It's we had experience with the mumps last year, which is highly infectious, probably even more so than this, and we were successful where we had 33 infected inmates. We did a quarantine that was successful, and it didn't go beyond those. And in the quarantine was up to, I think, 300 inmates. So we were able to isolate and quarantine very successfully because the jail system, we control all the movement of everyone. So we do have the potential of being very forceful on those effects. The threat is always someone from the outside coming in, and that's why we have to do all the screening. We're doing the screening, a verbal screening for all employees going into the facility. We're making sure if you think you have a fever, you're not feeling well, just don't go to work, and we can address for that.
Regarding visitation, is there going to be an emphasis to tell people, inmates and those who are visiting, utilize telephones, maybe enhanced telephone privilege as possible?
Yeah, that we're going to continue that. We're going to give access to the phones as much as we can within the system because we're getting rid of the visitation from the outside in to prevent further contamination. Our biggest threat actually though is the homeless population. That is the one that, well, there's roughly 59,000 throughout LA County spread out. I think 36,000 within the city. And you have the riverbeds, you have all the homeless encampments under the bridges, along Skid Row. Those are the biggest threat right now because of the sanitary conditions and people that are resistant to seek medical aid when it's obvious that they should. So we're reaching out. Our homeless outreach service team, our community-oriented policing teams, the cop teams, they're fanning out. Our mental evaluation teams, they're making contact with all of the people within our jurisdiction who are currently experiencing homelessness, and we're trying to convince them to get to a shelter. And we're focusing on the older crowd, the one that is most vulnerable. So that is my biggest concern is that group. Yes, ma'am.
¿Alguna palabra en español, por favor, para los
Ah, sí, esto lo que ha transmitido desde el viernes pasado, cuando tuvimos la última rueda de prensa, estamos usando todos los miembros del departamento que nos están trabajando en custodia o en las patrullas, ahora van a amplificar todos los recursos que tenemos disponibles, los personajes. Vamos a tener más personas en las calles trabajando, en las unidades de policía, y van a concentrarse en las áreas de los mercados, de los Costco, de esas áreas grandes donde están mucha gente congregados, para que haya una presencia. Y entonces van a estar disponibles cuando si ocurre una cuarentena, pueden responder y suplementar las personas que están bajo cuarentena. Y eso lo esperamos. Entonces estamos urgiendo también que todas las personas toman todas las medidas posibles de mantenerse salvos y sanos, con buenos higiene positivo, usando todos los elementos básicos, mantener una separación cuando es posible, no congregar en situaciones de más de 50 personas y usar todas las recomendaciones del centro de CDC que viene de Atlanta, y vamos a seguir con eso. Lo que salimos nosotros con el centro de operaciones del condado entero, todos ellos sugieren, nosotros lo vamos a ejecutar como somos la fuerza armada, por decir, del gobierno del condado, y vamos a estar asistiendo a todos los departamentos para que ellos puedan cumplir su misión.
Una pregunta, usted ha hablado de seguridad.
Ajá.
Hemos visto que hay no solamente gente comprando comida, sino que en las tiendas donde venden armas vemos también largas colas de personas que están comprando pistolas
Sí.
supuestamente por alguna reacción de lo que puedan ocurrir. Y quería escuchar de sus palabras un comentario sobre las personas que están haciendo todas estas compras de armas.
Esas compras de armas es una compra de pánico, pero nosotros estamos disponibles, presentes y visibles en todas las comunidades. No necesitamos que alguien nos asiste en cumplir nuestra misión de mantener la seguridad pública, y sugerimos a todas esas personas que quieren comprar armas, no lo necesitan. Los que ya están armados legalmente tienen sus armas. Nosotros estamos aquí trabajando armados y listos para defender al público, y no necesitamos más ayuda en ese respecto.
Tell us about Darkwater State Beach. Is it something
That's going to be a site for quarantine in the future, a staging area. And there'll be several more that'll be developed throughout the county. There'll be a supply point, for example, for critical hygiene supplies that they'll be in short supply, particularly gloves, masks, sanitizer, those things, protective gear, masks and all those things, and they'll be handing them out to the hospitals as they're being used. So there'll be a wave. We can anticipate it's going to increase. It'll crest at some point, then it'll be on the downside. So we're at the front end of that.
Mr. Villanueva, so just to add to one more thing to your question, so you're saying it's not a good idea for people to be buying guns in Carolina?
No, buying guns is a bad idea. Particularly one, you have a lot of people now that are at home. Normally they're not. Cabin fever sets in. You got a crowded environment, people at home. Weapons are not a good mix. So people that have firearms, make sure they're locked properly. They're secured. That no one who should not be having access to them has access to them. Just to be a responsible gun owner.
Can you clarify that drop-in daily arrest is included on the 60? That's total across all the departments in the county, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Con una gran cantidad de negocios cerrados, ¿hay una preocupación de parte de ustedes en que gente se vaya a meter o a querer saquear esos negocios cerrados?
No, vamos a tener una presencia muy visible en todos los centros de negocio. Y no vamos a permitir eso. Ya.
Las personas que están haciendo compras de pánico, ¿cuál sería el mensaje?
Mensaje que, bueno, el pánico no es necesario. Todas las líneas de suplementar los productos que están en los mercados están todos saludables y en pie y esas líneas siguen siendo, ¿cómo se dice en español? Stocking. Supply. Todo el mercadeo, los centros donde ellos ponen la mercancía que va a los supermercados, todos esos centros están llenos. Todas las líneas de los productos están llenos, completos, la transportación, ese sistema está completo. No hay razón de que haya pánico, porque todo se suplementa. Cada semana, cada supermercado cambia todo su inventario y es otro inventario nuevo. Gente está comprando papel del baño para 1 año, 2 años. No sé qué crisis están planificando, pero eso es algo ilógico. Okay? Yes.
300 to 660, that's inmates who are arrests who are coming into the jails per day.
We're trying to be booked into our jail system. So it's a good pulse check of the entire county. Mm-hmm.
What would you tell people that are clogging up 911 dispatchers with non-emergency stuff during this time?
They need to back off, take a deep breath. There's a business line for every patrol station in our department. There's a business line for every police department throughout the county. They should be familiar with it. They can put that one in their speedy dial on their cell phones and not the 911 one. That should be strictly for emergencies. Okay? Yes.
Completely different department and you guys provide security for the courts. But are you still transporting the inmates back and forth to courts? And for those people who have speedy trials that didn't wait time, so to speak, are they still being, what's going to happen with those people?
Well, we have let me give you a breakdown. It'll give you an idea of our population. 45% of our inmate population is in pretrial detention. So they haven't got to court yet, or to trial yet, or they're going through trial right now. 20% is partially sentenced, which means they've been sentenced on one charge, but they're still awaiting a trial on another charge. They're kind of in between. And then we got 27% is sentenced already, and those are misdemeanor sentences. Those are AB 109 sentences, felonies that are served in the county. And I've used my authority that I have to reduce that population according to the penal code, and that's what helped us drop our number noticeably in the last 2 weeks. But according to Ken Brazil, the presiding judge for the Superior Courts, he actually is the one that has authority on the pretrial detention. That kind of falls on his house. And they've indicated that trials, they're postponing them where they can. Arraignments and preliminary hearings, those are more time sensitive, and they're not discretionary. Arraignment's 48 hours. So they're working on the front end, and they're trying to delay civil trials and trials that they know they can put off for 2-3 months. And citations, for example, now, a lot of police departments and our department, we're going to June on citations. Even though we're writing a citation in March, typically it'd be 30 days or 60 days. They're taking all the way to June just to space out these people appearing in court. So we're trying to minimize the presence in court. And then as situations change on the ground, well, then we'll change our posture with the court system, but we'll work hand in hand with the Superior Court judge, with Judge Oda for the criminal courts, and we may change that down the road. Okay. All right, thank you.
Sir, the AP wants to ask you further questions.
This will conclude today's press conference. Thank you for coming.